justify that topic, we have Dr. Paras Agrawal, and he's going to speak on Automation 2.0, augmented human intelligence. He's been working on AI and some of the tools that he's been using, which he has shared with us. And I think they'll be very effective in communicating, the thoughts are. So I think it will be a very interesting topic. And if there are any questions, I think we should be there to answer.
Yes. Thank you, Team EDPA, dear Dr. Makkar, Rajiv Bansal, Pankaj, and everybody here, Aman, Swati, and all of us. I think we all are witnessing an era when we are moving from our virtue as solo clinician to somebody with more cognitive power, as we call it, as the augmented human intelligence. So this is what we are going to learn and understand today. We'll discuss how to use this power going further and what are the caveats of this. And we should know the basics of it, the science behind the various GPTs, AI modules that we use. We should be knowing the basics of it and how can we use them going further in the future, which most of the professions have adapted, but we as doctors are probably slightly slow because we are still with our prescription paper in most of the clinics. I think 70% are still with the prescription paper. Nobody has not just moved even to the computers. And we are talking about clinician 2.0, while with the agentic AI, the time is to move to clinician 3.0, when everything is going to get automated. So let's try and understand a few things. So I think we are beyond this, whether the AI is friend or foe. This was a topic given to me by Pankaj for some other presentation. I think this is not the debate anymore. We have to take it as a friend. And when it gets into the foe role, probably we would be more smarter by then to keep it of help to us all through and through, fixing all the negates that AI is going to come with. And we have to get intelligent further. So we have a changing landscape. We are at a transformative shift as a physician. There used to be an era that we used to go to the library in Maulana Azad Medical College, and we all in our respective colleges going to the libraries, looking for the literature, searching those pages, finding that paragraph. Now everything is coming so comfortable, so easy. And there used to be an era when the patient used to come with the history only, and we used to proceed with the examination. Now everybody has different expectations. Patient comes with lots of documents, papers, their CGMS data, their sugar charts, and the full load of body profile reports. You have the hospitals which are expecting you for the full documentation. Dr. Gaurav is here. He is always saying document, document, document. So the expectations are changing for the doctors. So we need to get armed. And the patient also comes with those much of information from the AI. He already knows his diagnosis and he wants to discuss it further. He wants to discuss it from there, not those basics which used to be in earlier time. So what are we having? We are having a human cognitive capability and the time constraint, and we do not have neither we remember those charts, nor not those flow diagrams, not that even EGFR calculators, what to talk about multi-model calculators to be applied in the ICU. So now it is the era of AI, which will help us defining those things with such a touch of a button. And we have the volume of patient data in the medical literature, which we need to memorize. I think it's beyond our comprehension and our cognitive capability. So we better get hand-on with the AI workflow support, and we are getting adapted to it slowly and gradually, be it just not the documentation process, but our second brain. So welcoming to the new era, we are going in a transition. We have our excellently performing outgoing team. We have a farewell for them, and we have a welcome moment for our future incoming team. So we are going to define the future of everything in the medical world, not just the AI. We at East Delhi Physician Association are doing great with respect to our literacy mission. with respect to our advancements in various fields of medicine. So, era has come for retiring the clinician 1.0, who used to be a solo expert with overwhelmed with the data, diagnosing by their own personal memory. Can you quote from where that your decision making tool is coming from which table are you making a comprehensive diagnosis or the treatment even? Now you have your culture sensitivity reports with all those MIC parameters and the BMQs, which are beyond our comprehension also. So we need to probably get better in our understanding to the AI-enabled directorship. And that's the new role of us, that is Physician 2.0. We better move faster on this, because now we are not only that I know it all, right? But we should know that we are the synthesizer in chief. We would probably culminate everything which is available to us with different tools into easily comprehensible, and we are the one who are going to tell our patient and guide them, giving them the directions for every act that they are supposed to do with the immense data and the literature which we have. So we are transitioning, we are navigating the new changes and the challenges both. So AI is nothing but our cognitive support, right? It's a new tool. It's our second brain. So we have an augmented AI. So we need not worry from anything. We can enjoy our journey, because now पुराने जमाने में होता ना, बहुत सारे ग्रंथ सामने खोले और सारा आपके दिमाग में. So AI is that brain of yours. That's whatsoever you have in front of you, you can easily comprehend that. It's as good as part of your memory. So we need to learn these skill sets and go further. So we need to take this AI as a cognitive co-pilot, right? As airlines used to have pilots earlier, and now everything is being assessed by the co-pilot inside the plane, which provides the velocity, but the direction is provided by the human inside that, right? AI handles the pattern because it's perfect at the pattern recognition, right? It can decipher millions of the data pieces into two synthetic sentences, which is the core of the data, right? And we, as a expert clinician with our expertise, are there to handle the patient. Despite doing all this so far, if somebody asks me how much time AI is saving for you as of now, so there's good amount of research across the globe. Currently, AI is just able to save an hour of the patient and physician time, which may be with different level of usage. It may be 1 hour, 2 hour per day. It can save you because it gives you a help in documenting things faster, explaining things better to your patients, and doing the smart research. We are daily doing it with the AI flows in our day-to-day practice. We need to turn slightly better user of it so that we save more of time and we do the more quality care. So let the machines do the math and let the clinicians practice the medicine. That's it. But it comes with formulation of reality, leveraging the tool and owning the outcome. The final outcome is to be owned by we as a physician. So everything is human in the loop. Nothing is going beyond our comprehension. Nothing is going beyond our control. We are the essence of medicine because we have been trained to do that. So essential human elements, which are accountability, empathy, the logics of being and practicing privacy, which Gaurav is going to guide us, which are going to keep us intact into this loop, and it is the doctor in the loop. So AI is never going to be a foe, it's going to be a friend. And we need to learn the art. So AI is your new stethoscope, right? Which is going to help you diagnosing and delivering the best of the medical care. So we need to keep this human oversight across our decision roles. We need to be empathetic to the patient because AI would allow us more time, not writing things. Everything is going to be ambiently scribed written, and you just click a button, it will come in that different format which you want. But the ultimate medical legal responsibility is yours. AI's confidence does not insulate us from our liability. If you sign it, you own it. We have to understand that our responsibility remains supreme with the AI. So going further, we need to master how this AI is developed. We need to understand some basics of the AI. It's raw fuel. And the clinical documentation habits are new medical safety habits. The modern skill set means fluent in clinical medicine and capable of interpreting data science outputs. That is the clinician 2.0, that we need to do the clinical medicine and we have to be capable of interpreting the AI scientific outputs and understanding them. So clinician 2.0 speaks the language of machine and the patient both. We need to understand both, the machine also, AI algorithms also, and the patient also. So the documentation is the foundation. So the models that we use, we should be knowing that how much is there different data sets that it has been trained on. Is it validated for the human use in the territory that you are in? If something is done, it is at a far off place, which is not your kind of the patient population, not your kind of infrastructure. Suppose it's there in Boston and you are applying it to the East Delhi, where the infrastructure, the patient profile and everything is different. The things may not sound well. So we have to understand that this all needs to fix. There's something known as the dark data. Whatsoever EHR records are there, 70% of the medical data, that notes, signals, and the images are unstructured, which AI is synthesizing, trying to decipher and learn from that. The deep learning translates the dark data into the clinical insights, but there can be errors in that interpretation by the AI itself. So understanding the missing data, a lot of things in the healthcare, when the patient is too sick, those sick patients are not formulated as a part of the data, because when the patient is sick, you are there in the patient care. You do not transcribe what has been done with that patient. That patient does not become the part of the pool of the literature because it was not giving time to you to make it part of the study even. So those patient data are lost. So at times AI models are trained on more healthier sets of the patient. So everything that the AI predicts is not going to be right. Then the documents for machine actionability. AI is struggling to reverse engineer dense narrative paragraphs because AI is getting trained on them. It does not know what is it written here, right? Everything looks gibberish to it and it tries to synthesize. Use discrete fields, drop-down menus, and ordered lists whenever possible so that you can make AI smarter. And for the AI, leaving some column, that silence at that particular column, what is the age of the patient, whether the patient is diabetic or not, is not an input. A blank field confuses AI. Explicitly document negatives. It's very important for us that whenever we are as part of the prompt or the part of the AI training module, if we leave too many blanks, the AI is not getting better. So saying that no chest pain, rather than leaving it blank, maybe a different connotation, different context, different reasoning for the AI to come up. Framing the right question, we'll learn in the art of prompting. The domain expertise is required to point AI at the correct target. So we would get a different output because our knowledge about asking question is different from what patient or the patient family caregiver asks, right? So that's why it would always be different. Who is asking? So my AI is different from Makkar's AI or Dr. Lalit's AI because I would frame at a different level. Makkar would frame according to his perspective, Dr. Lalit according to his perspective. What we want to use it for is going to be different. So we need to learn the best ways of prompting and what we want as an output. So in the end, we need to keep our knife sharp. Over-reliance on automation erodes fundamental diagnostic intuition. If something which is an AI output and you think it is against your experience or expertise, please deny it. Don't accept what AI has told you because AI is still learning and you are most learned person still around. And they say the latest of the AI data that we are using 2 years down the lane, we'll be cursing that we will be using the worst of the AI formats. So that's how the evolution is happening. So keep your clinical reasoning independent, verify, don't just trust blindly. Then deploying AI at the bedside. You see how much mistakes AI commits. It does not know the even spelling of deploying. So it just hallucinates the next probable word. AI do not see the images. It breaks them into the tokens and assume the next component in the brick wall layering. What is the next probable brick as the next probable letter in that sentence or next probable word in that sentence. So it cannot write even a spelling now. How would it take care of the patient who has so vast, different backgrounds and different clinical presentations? So identifying high impact, low risk deployment opportunities are the current stake of the AI. You can't apply AI for your critical patients. You can only use it for the scenarios when impact is high and the risk to the patient is low. The automation ladder. Which part of your current flow you should automate now? Triage and sorting. When the risk is low and the volume is high, AI excels at prioritizing workflows. Thousands of X-rays to be seen by radiologists. AI just negates that, okay, 950 X-rays are normal. It will show up the first 50, which are abnormality. Now they are scanned properly by the human eye. And so it can help you triaging. Let AI sort normal scans so you focus on the sickest patient first. In the automation ladder, what can be easily done by the AI? Even that may not be perfect as of now. AI is a scribe. I'll tell you which tools I'm currently trying, testing, using for a ambient scribe. They say that you go on the round or you conversate in the OPD with your patient and let the AI listen whatever you're saying. And there are modules which will make notes of those rounds. Bed number 10, these are things discussed. These are given in over and you touch a button. What is the order for the sister? What is the order for the resident? And what are the investigations to be done? So they have evolved there as a good ambient scribe, ambiently, silently listening to what you're saying and then figuring it out in different formats. Semi-automation and triage. AI provides initial assessment, suggestions, requirements, strict supervision by clinician to uphold clinical integrity, right? So this is the ladder. This is easy and human in the loop all along, right? Human is never out. Human-led decisions. AI acts as a continuous intelligence stream, but critical tasks, ethical trade-offs, and final accountability remains firmly of the human. So what is safe to automate and give it to the AI? Routine visit summaries, administrative meetings, initial literature synthesis, and patient education materials. Even in the literature synthesis, it's just the initial. You can't assume that everything that the AI is telling is going to be perfect. It has its caveats. Final diagnosis. No, even when you're signing the summary generated by AI, please put that it is a draft summary. Never sign unless you have read it, because it makes blunders and blunders of highest possible grades, which can get you into the soup, which Gaurav is going to tell us. High stakes counseling, breaking bad news to the patient. It cannot be left to the AI. You need to see the person in front of you breaking the news to him, and you see that he is collapsing because of the vasovagal happening to him while you are counseling him. It cannot be given to the AI. Ethical trade-offs, complex nuance, shared decision-making, critical care scenarios, you can't give it to the AI. So safe to delegate is OPD notes, discharge summaries, patient education drafts, research synthesis at the initial stage. High stakes counseling, final diagnosis, ethical trade-offs is all yours so far. So what are the mandatory checkpoints of the human in the loop workflow? Input the patient data, ensure de-identification. Whenever you are giving data to the patient, you should understand whether you are using a HIPAA compliant or you are not using. Gaurav is going to tell us further on that. But your formality while loading on the ChatGPT is to de-identify the patient. Patient identification parameters have to be away. Automated processing. AI generated OPD notes, discharge summaries, automated flow, the clinician checkpoint in the loop. All outputs are tested exclusively as initial drafts. AI provides options, human provides the authorization. So its output has to be finalized by you. So human in the lead is always going to be there. Essential doctor skills, that the clinical judgment is all yours, ethical responsibility is all yours, and the human trust, that building the fundamental patient doctor patient relationship is still with you. Whatsoever is irreversible clinical action, you are telling that thrombolytic has to be given. Please get into the loop. AI is not the thing which can say that give this chemotherapy, that chemotherapy, and you are away from the work. No. You have to be at all irreversible clinical decision. You have to own it. Human in the loop for the thrombolytics and pathway and anti-cancer therapy. Whatsoever is high stakes is all yours. So the best medicine is intelligence with judgment, which we practice at EDPA. You know who are the people here which are running the show. You see Makkar here, Pankaj here, and we are doing great work. बीच में नहीं मैं नहीं हूं. I am not in this photograph. वो अजय है अभी. Ajay is in the double role, right? Yes. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Now we have our stalwarts, our seniors who have been guiding us all the time. So the next thing is that we all know that LLMs have illusions, right? And who knows better than us what illusions are? You see what gibberish is written here. This is the kind of text it will give you. In the image, I have seen era of AI when I was building images and मेरे दोस्तों के फोन आते पारस ये क्या ऊट पटांग लिखता है यार तू AI की इमेज में सारी स्पेलिंग्स गलत हैं. So we are moving further from that. Now AI is still smarter, but still it's gibberish at many times. Even you will read certain text, it will sound incredibly confident. Whenever it is putting this input, it will be so confident. पूरे पूरे ड्रग का नाम नया बता सकता है, पूरा ट्रायल का नाम नया रख सकता है और पूरा उसका जर्नल कोट कर सकता है. It can create full new journal for you, pages from that. It can hallucinate to that level. It can give you a reference of a journal which never existed and the drug which never exists. And the doses you can't believe. So AI hallucinates at lot levels because AI is not reading the text or images that we see. It just digitizes it and trying to create those what is visible to you, so many parameters, the live experience, the semantic understanding, the biological reasoning of a complex clinical scenario. You only see it. AI just see a part of it, right? Not everything. Again, it sees not those as spots, it digitize it, gives it different values and synthesize based on that. So AI is working differently, not like us. Its geometric feature decomposition is being done by the AI and it interprets those figures, not the full picture. The dog doesn't look like this to the AI. It looks different eyes of the dog, different contours of the eye, and that's how it recognizes. So the case scenario of hallucination catalyst. A physician uses an AI tool for the research. AI confidently cites non-existent, highly specific drug interactions leading to an altered treatment path. It can very easily do that. It can get you off board. So hallucinations, the illusions of accuracy are there. You can always be surprised.
Check this out. The data is clear, but your courage completes the equation. Thank you.
So you can be surprised any moment. So visual hallucinations to a futuristic robots attempt to place both dirty shirts and dinner plate in the same washing machine. It will put that. It can do that. It understands both are for the washing, so it goes in the washing machine. It's as intelligent as this scenario. So AI is only as smart as its last meal. If we feed it holes, it provides hallucinations. We, the clinicians, are the frontline guards of the data integrity. So we should know what to feed, what to get, what to expect. So medical images, convolutional neural networks, medical signals, recurrent long short-term memory loops, clinical text by transformers. So this is what AI is evolving further and further. But we need to know the trick and enjoy our journey. So in this picture, it was Pankaj here. Pankaj, I replaced you in this picture, but मेरा look फिर भी तुम्हारा जैसे ही रहेगा. So we both are same. AI can inform, only humans can decide, right? We only know what is the truth behind the things. A unified, compassionate human response is our ultimate healing power. We have Dr. Makkar here, Dr. Pankaj here, and we have good team ahead. So we all need to be compassionate, empathetic to our patient. AI can never replace us. We have a lot of responsibilities to be taken care. Here you see Dr. Gera here. Dr. Gera sir is there. The finest medicine is the data guided, but the human in the loop is mandatory there. The clinical prompt engineering is the skill of directing a cognitive assistant. That how should you use your prompts? What are the basics of prompt when we apply the prompts? Framing the right question is more important. We are the domain expert. AI gives answers, and we as medicine people need to feed the right question so that we need to know what is the right question to be asked to the AI. Prompts, we know it all. Nobody knows better than us. We have been doing history taking for so many years. We have been asking the patient to prompt its final diagnosis. We know the art of it. So prompt engineering is not new to us. We are the most learned people. We know we need to have the context. We need to have the parameters. We need to have guardrails. We need to give the right instructions, right? So context is who you are and what the scenario is. A specific variables AI must consider is the parameters. Guardrails are don't go out of this context, and instructions exactly what format of output you are expecting. So वो क्या मांगता है क्या वो बोलो, ये चाहिए क्या उसके अकॉर्डिंग, सीन क्या है, सिचुएशन क्या है, that has to be described. So this is prompt engineering or prompt thinking has to come, which has different formats. RCT format, we are knowing the RCT is better. So role, context, and the task has to be given to the AI, right? So I come to the role. Context is act as a senior gastroenterologist reviewing a patient. Parameters, limit the summary to 3 paragraphs using bullet points or medications, the output that you want. Instructions are draft a discharge summary focusing on the treatment plan. Guardrails are do not invent the patient data. Base the summary strictly on the provided lab results. So you need to put those things in your prompt so that the output is not bad. We need to first, so in the RCT prompting structure, first is give the AI agent a role play that look at what level of question you are asking. If you are asking something in the rheumatology, ask it to assume that you are a rheumatologist of this level with 20-25 years of experience, right, into this particular field of rheumatology. So you first give the AI its persona कि भाई तू क्या है, you are at this level. Then you will say मैं क्या हूँ, जो मैं पूछने वाला हूँ, at what level I am. And then you give the context scenario to the patient. So first assign the AI role in the prompt that assume yourself as this person with this much of experience. And then you go ahead further. So this slide is another example that how AI hallucinates. You see how much part of this slide in the role assignment, it creates एक बंदा hustler होगा, एक बंदा verbose होगा, एक बंदा ordered होगा. These all terminologies are designed by AI by hallucination. Nothing exists of this nature, right? But AI hallucinates. Start your prompt. You are an expert medical document formatter. If you want it to write a transcription, then medical transcriptionist with this much of experience and expertise. So that should be your first line if you are asking for a medical transcription of something. Build guardrails. Establishing safety guardrails in AI-generated medical content is crucial. It minimizes guardrails means कितना data देखना है, कहाँ से data देखना है, इसके बाहर नहीं जाना है. What are your sources that you are saying should be? If you not give your guardrails, then it searches anything. वो 1 mg से उठा करके दे देगा, which may be written by somebody who's in homeopathy, right? So you have to give guardrails to the AI where it is supposed to bring the things, right? So you give it its role, you give the task, you give the guardrails, you give the format, and give your data. So format is output. आपको जो output चाहिए वो किस format में चाहिए? आपको output in form of table चाहिए, in form of paragraph चाहिए, या even for the image चाहिए. So you have to tell that how do you want the output to be coming out. It will design. So for the same context that you have given, same AI scribe it is doing. After that, you can ask, give me notes for the nursing. Give me notes for the patient counseling material. So it will give you accordingly. The output will design. So it is very important when talking to the AI that does not hallucinate, defining the clinical negative. It prevents dangerous assumptions and medication error. You can say explicitly, do not change dose, route, or frequency unless I ask whatsoever data you are giving, because it can hallucinate. Then you can mandate the self-correction. You can ask AI for auditing its own synthesis. That your last line can be whatsoever output you are delivering, please audit it once more for the authenticity and the source of the data. So these are the safety checks at the final review stage that you can ask the AI to do. So these are, again, to revise, these are different formats, RCT, tag, it's just for the memory. I think RCT is very easy to us, role, context, and the task. So give the model role, who should the AI act like, a diabetologist or a statistician, a journal club moderator? What is the role? What is the context? What background matters? Audience, clinical setting, patient profile, country, time limit. So you have to give that, okay, this presentation is being made for the 250 MD medicines who are specialists in this on what occasion. So it will fit everything according to that. And task is what exactly should it produce? It should produce a summary or plan or a PPT or what? What should it produce? That will give you the thing. So you define the things and the things can be taken. Get tags. You can remember the task, action, and the goal. So these are different ways to remember RCT, tag, or CRISP modes. So the goal is the patient should understand why and when and how to inject safely. So you have to define your things appropriately so that it gives you output accordingly. So structure transforms raw AI models into the safe clinical co-pilots. A raw clinical request, better context, better parameter setting, better guardrails, and giving instructions is going to give you a high fidelity clinical output. So you can tailor the content and you can transform the communication with the AI. The beauty is that for the same material that you are giving to the AI, you can ask for a nursing handover note, you can ask for an optional discharge advice, you can ask for a patient explanation pamphlet. It can transform the same material. So your repetitive tasks, same कहानी कैजुअलिटी में लिखी गई, सेम कहानी अब अंदर आकर के वो जो फ्लोर पे बंदा है वो वाला लिख रहा है, सेम प्लान फिर वो फिजिशियन नरेट कर रहा है. So everything is being done repeatedly with so much of wastage of time. So these are different formats that AI can adapt. Ask for simultaneous versions, WhatsApp handover. You can ask the AI, give me a WhatsApp message which I can circulate in my community. You can ask as a patient pamphlet. You can ask in the consent note. You can ask it in whatsoever format you want. We know that we can ask the AI in the SOAP progress notes. Whatsoever you are, it's ambiently scribing. So the modules have done it. SOAP note de do bhai. SOAP is your subjective examination, objective examination, your assessment, and your plan. So these are the SOAP notes with the same AI transcribe which it is going to do. It can give you. Then nursing handover, master terminal, safety. The templates can differ according to the output. So with our understanding, we can redefine a good AI output. An accurate model can still be clinically unsafe. It may be statistically 99% accurate, but the clinical risk and safety threshold can be different for the AI models. We should prioritize the clinical outcomes. We say that the human concept has to be there when using AI. What is the human concept? Is harmonious understanding of machine learning analytical network. Data source check, external validation check, whether those things have been validated for the area which belongs to you, for the purpose that you are using it for. कैलिब्रेशन चेक एंड द ट्रांसपेरेंसी चेक. जो डेटा उठा के ला रहा है वो ब्लैक बॉक्स नहीं होना चाहिए. व्हाट इज ब्लैक बॉक्स इज एआई कहाँ से काम कर रहा है आपको पता नहीं, आप इनपुट देते हो और आउटपुट आ जाता है. जैसे मेरे से पूछो कि सर ये इसमें ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, ये आपने बोला है कि डोपामिन अब नहीं दे रहे, बस डोपामिन नहीं दे रहे, मैंने बता दिया. तो कौन से जर्नल में कौन सी स्टडी से था या वो मुझे नहीं पता. तो दैट इज ब्लैक बॉक्स. व्हाट इज एक्चुअली रिक्वायर्ड इज आई शुड बी एबल टू टेल मैं कौन से चैप्टर में कहाँ से पढ़ा था, कौन सा डेटा था, कौन से ट्रायल में हुआ कि डोपामिन यूजलेस हो गया है, किस सिनेरियो में यूजफुल रह गया है. I should be able to give you the reference. So things should not be black box कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है text नहीं. So AI also go at that level. The earlier models of AI, now they are more informed. They are able to give you the source. You can ask in your prompt, please give me the source of the important output that you are putting in or the critical judgment that you are giving. Give me the source and validation of it. So human is harmonious definition, understandable data source, machine learning methods. We should be knowing analytical robustness and network external validation. All should be in your knowledge, right? What are the 10 commandments of the clinical AI? AI is for decision support, not decision replacement. Do not deploy AI without local validation. Accuracy does not mean equivalent to the safety. Rare events will break AI models. High risk decisions require a human activity in the loop. So human in the loop is very important. Bias in the training data of AI becomes bias in the patient care. Beware of the automation bias. You at times start believing AI so much कि AI ने जो बोल दिया वही truth है. So that is not the truth always. You should apply your own sense. Don't use it as a rubber stamp. And then you give it. Explainability matters most when stakes are highest. So all critical judgments with you. Governance of AI is critical as technology itself will learn from Dr. Gaurav. The best AI fosters trust and improve health quality. That's the purpose. Safety net, whatsoever is validated at some other place has to be validated in your country, in your practice modules. Then only it becomes safe. If the AI has been trained on a biased data sets, its output is always going to be biased. And yeah. So always ask AI in the end. Understand why. For critical decision, you must understand the rationale, not just the recommendation. Source has to be, so no automation trap, no bias blind spots. So high volume image pattern recognition, AI is okay. Predicting patient deterioration, it's okay. Automating routine clinical documentation, it's okay. When not to use, novel edge case, disease lacking historical data, decisions requiring deep human empathy or ethical judgments, situations with known bias or poor quality training data. You should not allow AI to be used. AI will not replace the clinicians, but clinicians who use AI may replace not using them. So use AI as your cognitive pilot. It's your deep best friend, and let the human core of empathy and critical decision making be of highest importance. So welcoming the new era, the moment of installation of our new team and we defining the future, it's a real high moment of a augmented human intelligence. The future is collaborative with best wishes to the incoming team, and together we augment the future. So we are in the transition, not of the AI alone, of EDP handover also from one team to another, and we all are so cohesive with each other. So it's change of guns from one team to another. Farewell to the outgoing team for the excellent task that they have done, and we all stay together. And welcoming to the leadership with Dr. Aman Radgi, Dr. Makkar, and all being together. Just last 1 or 2 minutes, how is currently AI helping? Clinical notes structuring, summarizing the discharge plans, and literature searching. We are all using it. Safely, it can be done for the documentation, clinical support, patient communication, and the medical research. Convert dictation efficiently, reformat the treatment plans, and drafting the patient education sheets. So what I am currently using or recommending two of the softwares to you guys. One is Hedi. HEIDI, which is absolutely free. It is a ambient scribe model. You put it in your pocket while on your rounds. You just say that now we are moving to bed number 1. You need not take the name of the patient. You can give the IP number only. And then you talk to your resident whatsoever flow it is on, right? And then it listens to the thing, and it has different formats: clinical round format, meeting format, patient counseling formats. And you press that button, it will give you an output accordingly. So that is Hedi. It is free. These are HIPAA compliant. And then second is, we are not supposed to use Chat GPT. We can use Bastian GPT. It is again roughly 2,000 rupees a month cost. It again listens to whatsoever you are conversating with the patient, and will give you a SOAP notes, or whatsoever notes you format. You can give it your own prompt. It will give you an output in that format. So these are very good tools being developed and being executed. Issue comes of aligning them with our existing softwares. So I think it's just a little time that the things would be happening. And then what I use on my window is Whisperflow. I'll share the link to all these three in the group. Whisperflow is mean whatsoever screen you are in, you are typing and you just dictate it, right? So whatsoever you are dictating, though Google works reasonably fine for the Hindi and English, by the time Whisperflow is much better, and it works on all tools. So these are ambient scribes and workflows. So this is Hedi and the Bastian GPT, which I use very commonly. So these things are, Hedi has a free version also and a paid version also. So I think we come to the end of our talk, and next topic is, I think, over to the chairpersons.
Thank you. I think excellent talk. Thank you very much, Dr. Paras. It's a
Yeah.
totally new thing for us. We know AI has revolutionized the world, and so is the practice of medicine, making it a little more difficult for us. The patient, puts everything in AI and then comes to us. So we should be smart enough. We should know our subject thoroughly. We should also be taking help of AI tools. And Dr. Paras
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, there's something called as temperature in AI. How do we use it? We use AI we are not using AI just to, we use Google for answers to very, very simple things. For example, what is a drug in Munjaro? Very, very simple things. But we use AI for very complex problems. For example, you have the data of a patient. You put it to Gemini or ChatGPT, and you wanted to analyze what could be the differential diagnosis, right? And give me all possible clinical scenarios. But please remember, when you give this, the idea is that interpretation, wherever you want answers to wherever you want answers to very, very simple things, okay, what are the complications, adverse effects of so-and-so drug that you might already know, but you just want a complete list, then it doesn't matter. But whenever you want interpretation of a particular thing, write the last line as, please keep the temperature to 0.5. Please write this line. What does it mean? When we say temperature, it means logic, exactness, accuracy, or on one aspect of one end of the spectrum, and the other end is creativity. Maximum creativity is 1, and more logic, accuracy, and correctness is 0. So you are keeping it between 0.5. If you do not write this line, see, there's a very important line called as AI is greedy. Am I right? Those of us who use it very, frequently, I use it a lot for, various purposes, legal and whatnot. As Dr. Paras was saying, it will manufacture articles which are not in existence. I find court judgments, एक बार तो मैं एकदम पागल हो गया, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट जजमेंट थी और वो मेरे को एआई ने बता दी कि ये पर्टिकुलर केस है सुप्रीम कोर्ट का. मैंने सारे सर्च इंजन्स किया, मैंने जो लीगल डेटाबेसेस जो बाय करते हैं एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ 2 लाख रुपीस एन एनम, वो सब भी सर्च कर लिए, वो जजमेंट नहीं मिली. It had actually hallucinated and produced that judgment for me. And courts have reprimanded advocates in courts because they have produced judgments generated by AI saying कि साहब ये तो matter already decided हो चुका है court में, because they did not simply exist. So when you are using, for creativity, कि generate an image, generate a video, then you might like to not give any, statement as to temperature and let it be most creative at 1. But for medical purposes, you keep it at 0.5 or maybe 0.4 or maybe 0.3. But if you write this line, the hallucination is likely to increase drastically. I'll move on with my topic. That was not but yes, I kind of lot of interested in this. So what are the challenges that we face of using AI in our medical practice? They remain the same, more or less, just to summarize, the issues relating to medical negligence, relate to medical errors, relating to informed consent issues, data privacy issues, liability for algorithmic bias, and regulatory gaps within all the laws that govern the medical practice. So what are the laws which address artificial intelligence in our country? We do not have a comprehensive law as such. European Union, some states like California, Idaho, Utah, Los Angeles in the US have some laws governing AI, but most of the world does not. But we have some laws at least. And whatever the current infrastructure laws that governs AI in our country relates to almost all the laws that are in existence. Because if you say that, okay, I used AI to give this treatment, administer this treatment to my patient, and if it was faulty, it is not my problem. I should not be held responsible for it. It doesn't work like that. AI, if I were to summarize in one line, which Dr. Pai already did, is it only an assistant as far as law is concerned. Ultimate responsibility is of the treating physician only. you'll have to justify why did not use it, why did not, consider that aspect. Yes, but it should be clinically significant. Of course, it can be, yes. But then, the patient, what they might, the patient believes everything that AI says is like Gita truth. But we know, I've seen so many times, it is very, very, I see almost daily, I use it maximum for summarizing documents, because there are, 40, 50 page judgments. I want it in 2 pages. And I know I've read it probably earlier. It will almost always every other second answer would be a hallucination or a mistake that AI is committed. I ask it to correct it. It says, yes, you are right. So AI makes a lot of mistakes. Yes, they have decreased over the past 1 year, but still you have to be very, very cautious about it. So what are the laws that govern AI in our country? There are almost, 11 laws. For ICMR Ethical Guidelines for AI in Healthcare 2023, Digital Personal Data Protection Act, or commonly called as the DPDP Act, which I'm going to talk in detail, and the rules thereof in 2025. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which replaced the IPC Indian Penal Code, specifically 3 sections. Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, nothing to do with us actually, really, but yes. So what is the liability actually? When does it start? It starts the moment you input anything on a computer, which has the potential to be analyzed or read or interpreted by a large language model, or even if not a LLM, then any sort of software. Our liability starts. Ultimately, we cannot blame that it is the computer. So our liability for all these starts if we are keeping only physical documents. Then all this, DPDP Act and telemedicine practice guidelines, they do not have any role. But the DPDP Act is kind of very, to begin with, it's very recent. It is very strict. But अभी तक इसमें एक भी prosecution नहीं हुआ है. But because it is very new, cases are there in courts. But we'll have to see what is the kind of, courts, what kind of judgments courts give regarding this. Then strategy for AI in healthcare, SAHI, or medical device rules 27, because software is a medical device. So software is listed as a medical device under an amendment of Medical Device Rules 2017. Consumer Protection Act, Information Technology Act of 2000, Telemedicine Practice Guidelines. This lists certain guidelines for using AI in clinical care. Indian Medical Council Regulations 2002 under the National Medical Council. And lastly, Ethics Committee. I was talking to Dr. Makkar. Tomorrow, we might need a mandatory AI expert in our Ethics Committee. Today we do not have, but it is very likelihood that we might need one. So, I'm going to very quickly go through these and then come to the DPDP Act, which is more important, because patients' privacy is paramount for all of us. There have been reports on social media that, we doctors are kind of careful, patients are not. What happens when you upload an investigation report on a LLM, Gemini, anything, DeepSeek, whatever? It can use one document for hundreds of purposes. One, it can identify the patient. Okay, अगर patient भी upload करता है, lab भी upload करता है, doctor भी upload करता है, hospital भी upload करता है, so it knows that this patient in the past, now, and maybe in future has these because it retains all the data for perpetuity, mind you. It does not delete any data for perpetuity. Now it will also know that this particular lab has got these many facilities available. This lab is situated, these are the kind of patients which are there and they use this lab services, and these are the patients which might have these kind of parameters. So for demographic studies, it can use it. For somebody else who is searching what are the demographics of so and so things in this particular area. So it can use one particular report for hundreds of purposes. In fractions of seconds, every prompt that you make is conducting millions of calculations behind it and then giving you the result out of the black box. It is so fast. So the idea is, when a doctor is uploading a report, either you do not upload a report or you delete all the identifying particulars, not only the name, but also the age and gender. Let you only give only the the data, but remove all the CR number or identifying even the date, only what is important for that patient. ठीक है, gender आप अलग से लिख दो, but because otherwise it is going to retain it forever. Patients do not know it, but if you do it, and sometimes it can give the results to the patient ki ठीक है, आपका तो हमारे पास पहले का भी ये result है, your condition is improved or deteriorated. The patient might wonder, how come I've uploaded only one report? How is it comparing with another report? Because the doctor had uploaded it or the hospital has uploaded it. So there is a section regarding Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 106(1) covering medical negligence, very severe now compared to the previous one. Imprisonment of up to 2 years plus fine. Section 125A, Act endangering life or personal safety of others, liable for imprisonment up to 6 months. And 125B for imprisonment up to 3 years and fine. डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. Criminally, doctors are very, very, very safe. Let me assure you. That is, they are safe from going to jail for almost all purposes. Almost 100% safe, I would say it with authority. But yes, civil liability or fine is definitely there. And not at one forum, at multiple forums. So you can skip that. But under Medical Device Rules 2017, any software, whether LLM, any AI, they are very much legal and they are under the purview of medical device rules. And the penalties for any violations for not registering a software that you are using, for example, can be up to 5 years jail and fine of minimum 1 lakh. For being non-compliant, you could say the algorithm was defective, AI was defective, hence I got these results. So the punishment for that is product recall by the government authorities or cancellation or fine. For misleading AI claims, seizure or jail could be there to the manufacturer of the AI. And of course, the liability the doctor ke bhi banegi kyunki wo use kar raha hai. But kitni banegi, wo time will tell. The liability is there for sure. For algorithmic changes, suspension of license, regulatory action on the software manufacturer. No, for any software, because here it is software as a medical device. Whether it is AI or a plain and simple software, everything is covered under that. If you are uploading, yes, that is contained under a software, so that is also covered. Any EMR that you are using is under a software. So that software manufacturer's liability for leaking out the data or for malfunctioning data, is there of the manufacturer as well as the hospital. Yes. Doctor's liability could be there if it could be proved that you also had a hand in leaking out the data. Because all these, devices will come ahead that you have to keep very, very robust firewalls and softwares to contain the data so that it is not leaked. If it happens, usually the bade corporates ka hota hai, but it is not unlikely that it will not happen with, for example, hospital M or hospital F or hospital A. You know what I mean? So it is going to happen anytime because nothing made by humans is perfect, my personal belief. So as far as Consumer Protection Act is concerned, I'm going to skip this, okay, but yes, under the IT Act also for data negligence, the compensation, there is no upper limit for compensation for data negligence, that is failure to implement a reasonable security or encryption leading to patient's data breach. For unauthorized disclosure, intentionally disclosing personal information obtained through a contact as in doctor-patient agreement without consent, imprisonment could be up to 3 years plus fine. Breach of confidentiality. So, agar confidentiality breach hoti hai, so it is not only the DPDP Act, okay, Data Protection Personal Act, but also the IT Act, which was framed in year 2000. Double liability aati hai. It could imprisonment could be up to 2 years. So privacy is very, very, very important. हमारे देश में तो अभी ये probably begin हो रहा है. बाहर तो बहुत ज्यादा serious है, बहुत ही robust mechanism है to breach. Over there they have the right to forget. I'll come to that in a moment. Tampering with records, knowingly altering, destroying computer source code or critical medical software, punishment could be up to 3 years plus 2 lakh fine. Identity theft of an individual, fraudulently using a patient's or another doctor's digital signature or unique ID, imprisonment could be up to 3 years plus fine. unauthorized access into a computer system, damages could be up to 1 crore rupees. So it is data privacy is very, very serious offense in our country. Telemedicine practice guidelines, we've been through this through the times of COVID. So violation scenarios for doctors could be prescribing restricted drugs, prescribing without diagnosis, consent violations, privacy and confidentiality breaches, advertising and solicitation by doctors and hospitals, forcing telemedicine on a patient who wants only physical consultation, missing credentials, allowing AI or machine learning tools to directly prescribe medicines or counsel patients. What are the penalties for all these violations? Blacklisting by the NMC for the concerned platform or medical professional, vicarious liability of the hospital, and under the Consumer Protection Act, they're liable to compensation. Under IMC regulations, so you must be wondering why am I talking about this? Because all these laws are applicable if you are generating electronic data and using any computer software to process it. So failure to maintain records for 3 years, or failure to provide them to the patient on request in 72 hours, improper documentation or manipulation in documents, failing to display a registration number, performing operations without written consent, conducting tests to determine the sex of fetus. All these are violations, age-old violations that we are aware of. And assisting or performing illegal abortions, willfully neglecting patient after undertaking their case, or failing to respond to emergencies, advertising, receiving, offering gifts or commissions for patient referrals, failing to announce fees before treatment, or entering into a contract or no cure, no payment contract, or running open shop for medicines. What are the penalties under the IMC regulations 2002? Warning by the State Medical Council, public apology for the doctor concerned. Some states have it, Delhi does not have it. Censure or stricture on a doctor for restrictions. For example, you cannot attend to indoor patients. You cannot do you cannot attend to surgical patients, but you can do only OPD. Medical councils have doled out those kind of punishments to doctors. Or erasure from medical register, that panel eraser temporarily or permanently. And fines. Some states have fines up to 50,000, 1 lakh rupees. In Delhi, it is maximum up to 10,000 rupees. Now coming to the more important one, the DPDP Act, or Data Principle and Data Protection Act, and the rules framed under it in the year 2025. So what is a data principal under this? Data principal is the patient, that is the individual to whom the personal data belongs. And data fiduciary is the hospital. Okay, that is the entity where the individual doctor or clinic or hospital, that determines the purpose and means of processing the patient's personal data. Because on these two is decided whose liability it is. Sometimes patient could be at fault. Sometimes doctor or hospital could be at fault. So we're going to talk in terms of data principal and data fiduciary. So what are the obligations of the hospital or data fiduciary when processing patient's data digitally? So under section 8, what are there are two important new things that have come up. See, we've been using, as Dr. Paris said, discharge summaries to generate, we are generating discharge summaries. We are generating indoor records. So the two new, things that have come up that we have to use is, one is the notice and one is the consent for all electronic medical records that we are generating. We corporates are not started it, but you got to start it yesterday. Okay, because it's in existence for 3 years. We're already late. Most of us are not doing it. So if you are even in a standalone clinic, you are entering data into a computer, you have to get a notice, plain and simple notice in 5 lines, 4 lines, signed by a patient before starting treatment or even before starting history taking. This might be new to you. Okay, I'll tell you. So, plain and simple language. So that is the first, requirement at our end, that we have to start immediately, notice. And second is the consent. I'm not talking about surgical consent or procedural consent or consent for any other thing that we already are in the habit of taking. I'm talking about consent only for electronic purposes, data privacy purposes. As I said, if you are using only paper and pen to generate, I won't use the term data to, consult patients, then it is not required. But if you are using even your mobile phone to take a picture of your prescription and send it across to a patient, using telemedicine at any level, using laptop or computer in any way, or using, of course, any software assisted, or your corporate hospitals, server to use the data, generate data, preserve the data, then you have to get these two things signed from the patient in every case, whether OPD or indoor, or even lab patient, because labs are also doing it. How much are you going to preserve in? See, they cannot be preserved for perpetuity. This data has to be preserved till perpetuity. Although the minimum requirement is 1 year. What is the time limit that you have to preserve data? That is 1 year under the DPTP Act. If you ask me what is the maximum, I would say, for how long do you want to be safe, my dear friends? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What if the patient goes to a court after 10 years? The maximum time a consumer court has accepted a patient's complaint has been 10 years, although the Consumer Protection Act says maximum limit is 2 years. But it's been relaxed on condonation of delay application, which is a legal process, for up to even 10 years, more than 10 years. So if you want to be safe to 10 years, 20 years, the idea is you have to keep this data in perpetuity, lifelong, my dear friends, not 1 year. Yeah, please.
कंसल्टेशन ऑफ द अदर प्रिस्क्रिप्शन डॉक्टर भेज रहा है व्हाट्सएप पे और आप उसको देख के उसे कुछ बता रहे हो, तो फिर क्या ये डेटा में आएगा या नहीं आएगा? इट्स ए व्हाट्सएप कन्वर्सेशन ऑफ.
So very interesting. Just before you guys arrived, I was talking to sir. So I would recommend, if you are, how many of us are using WhatsApp for consultation? भेज दिया ना? हाँ. Because the patient has your WhatsApp number. I'm coming to your answer. Please listen. So how many of us are using WhatsApp for whether this purpose or whatsoever? Okay. So I would assume only 1 or 2 are not using. Those who are not using are legally safe. Let me complete. I would recommend, I'll give you the logic and the, law behind it. If you are, it is recommended that you use. So first of all, when a patient is sending you WhatsApp, that means you are available 24 hours. If he sends you a WhatsApp at 2 a.m., your data is on, it gives a double tick, which means the doctor has received it. Sir, your liability has started, even if you have not replied. Courts have ruled in favor of patients for not attending to answering, and prosecuted a gynecologist with a few lakh rupees because she did not reply at 2:30 a.m. in the night. So I would recommend, do not use WhatsApp do not give your WhatsApp number. Use WhatsApp on a different number. What do you use for telemedicine? Third-party platforms, which are very much legal under telemedicine practice guidelines. Software or email. Tell every patient, if you want a neutral, ground, give an email ID. Your liability is less because you check your email only when you have time. You cannot say, I will check my email at 3 a.m. in the night. Okay. Your
WhatsApp evidence, I think, still is not permissible. It is not law.
It is, sir. It is very much. Even if they send a summon.
WhatsApp is still not taken as an evidence. WhatsApp calls, WhatsApp.
So you tell me the law, I'll tell you the law which allows it. So we cannot say like that. You tell me the evidence, I'll give you evidence. It is very much legal evidence. If you receive a summon on WhatsApp and you have not seen it, and tomorrow is the date that you are supposed to appear, and you did not see it or ignored it, or you were outside the country, sir, you are liable for not appearing in the court. Sir, any data could be used as evidence in a court of law. It does not require your permission. That is why I said, avoid giving your WhatsApp number to the patients if you want to be safe. Sorry. हाँ तो फोन नंबर नहीं उठाया तो आपकी लाइबिलिटी नहीं है, बिकॉज आपके लेटर हेड पे लिखा हुआ है इन केस ऑफ इमरजेंसी गो टू हॉस्पिटल ए। फेयर इनफ। हाँ तो ढूंढ लेना, तो मत, तो if you want to be available 24 hours, you pick up the phone. Otherwise, even then your liability is there because double tick is there. You have received it. It's like receiving a letter and not replying to the registered email, a registered letter that you have received. The idea is, why would you want to receive? And because if you have received and not replied, your liability is already started, my dear sir. So the law does not consider. That is why you do not give your WhatsApp number. You give your email ID and consult on email. Okay, law is settled on this. Notice and consent. ये एक सिंपल सा फॉर्मेट है, 4 लाइन का बन जाएगा, एआई को बोलो बना देगा. It's a clear notice to the patient before or at the time of seeking consent, explaining what personal data will be processed and what purpose. 4 lines. And consent that to obtain free, specific, informed, unconditional and unambiguous consent with a clear affirmative action. 4 or 5 lines each on one single page, half a page. But this is mandatory by law. If you are not doing it, we are breaking the law. On a server, which you don't need to use a paper for that. I mean, of course, take a picture and upload it. Patient can sign digitally. Don't you use your fingers to write numbers or whatever on phone and on a notepad? If you are, I mean, that technology is available without using paper. You can take patient signature on your phone. Okay. But otherwise, you can take a picture, upload it on the server and forget about it. But it is mandatory, sir.
अगर हम रिप्लाई देते हैं कम टुमारो एट 11 AM, हर एक को ये रिप्लाई दे देते हैं, तो आर वी लीगली सेफ देन? हमने रिएक्ट तो किया, अपॉइंटमेंट दे दिया.
सर प्रॉपर्टी रेज था उस रिपोर्ट में, आपकी लाइबिलिटी स्टार्ट हो गई क्योंकि आपने 4 घंटे लगा दिए, पेशेंट तो ऊपर चला गया. हाउ यू गोइंग टू डिफेंड योरसेल्फ? दैट इज व्हाई आई सेड प्रॉपर्टी रेज था. अब कौन बचाएगा उसको? आप ही तो बचाएंगे ना, जब आप, या हॉस्पिटल बचाएगा उसको. ठीक है, बट आपने जवाब नहीं दिया. हाउ यू गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन कि सुबह 11 बजे तक पेशेंट तो ऊपर चला गया? हाउ यू गोइंग टू डिफेंड योरसेल्फ? दैट इज व्हाई आई सेड द सेफेस्ट थिंग इज ईमेल और नो व्हाट्सएप नंबर. I don't have any WhatsApp number, और यूज ए थर्ड पार्टी. आपको इमरजेंसी है, थर्ड पार्टी ऐप यूज प्रैक्टो व्हाटएवर, उसके थ्रू आप आओ, मेरे को कंसल्ट करो. ठीक है, और वो आप नहीं उठा रहे हैं तो आपकी लाइबिलिटी स्टार्ट नहीं हुई है. ठीक है, the moment you are available to use that telemedicine app or WhatsApp or whatever platform, your liability is started, sir. इसलिए ईमेल दो जब टाइम होगा, या थर्ड पार्टी प्लेटफॉर्म यूज करो जब टाइम होगा करेंगे. Because there's something called as in telemedicine practice guidelines, synchronous and asynchronous mode. Email is a asynchronous mode. You respond it at your privilege, your availability. WhatsApp is a synchronous mode. Chat, voice, audio, video. It's a synchronous mode. You are immediately available to respond. That is why your liability starts immediately. They're different. Law differentiates this very clearly. Fax, asynchronous mode. Phone is also kind of asynchronous. You don't reply to it, no liability starts. If you pick up and you say not available, your liability is started, although it is very limited. But if you say, like, this particular case, this is a best example, come tomorrow at 11 AM, your liability is already started. You have not replied. I said, no, gynecologist is fine. I think some 1 lakh rupees or something, by a lower court, because she did not reply. The patient went deteriorated. So what are the other obligations? Yeah, Ajay, Dr. Ajay, please. Perfect. Yes.
Whichever is earliest possible.
Yes, perfect, perfect. I agree with 100%. Yes, legally, this is a very strong statement. Yes, yes. हाँ. हाँ. नहीं. When you have said on the phone reads max emergency, you are safe because the patient does not go. आपने बोल तो दिया ना कि max emergency जाओ. फोन पे थोड़ा ना बताएगा कि आप फोन पे दवाई बताना भी लीगल है सर. I'm sure the GBM is waiting, so I'm going to,
Just since the forum is not up complete, so we have to be waiting for another half an hour for the GBM to start.
So I thought I was going to finish up. Now I'll take time. Okay. So there are certain security safeguards that we've got to, mandate. And as I said, the minimum required as per law to maintain digital data is 1 year, and data breach notification has to be given to the Data Protection Board, DPB, made under this law within 72 hours. Okay. Grievance redressal mechanism has to be there, and they have to be, sorted out within 90 days. Last thing is very new and very intriguing, very nice thing. Eraser right to be forgotten. In Japan, I saw this news 1 month ago. So the few guys, they take it very seriously. I do not want any of my data in any computer, any server, any government records. I want myself to be forgotten. I do not exist as far as law is concerned. I live in isolation. I don't need anybody. I don't want anybody to know me. This is as per law. They can do it in Japan, in so many other countries. In India, we have this mechanism in DPDP Act since 2023, wherein patient data, when consent is withdrawn by the patient for a specified purpose, no longer served unless retention is required by law. For example, clinical record retention laws. So the patient says, I want my data to be erased from your servers. You'll tell him that I have to keep it mandatorily for 1 year. Okay? Before 1 year, I cannot erase it. Secondly, there are other laws of the land which demand that I keep the data for more time. For example, regulations 2002, IMC regulations, they require indoor records for 3 years. So I will have to maintain a data. I'm sorry, I cannot delete it. He could challenge you in a court of law, but there are so many other laws. You can say that I am for a minor, for a child, the data might need to be preserved for up to 21 years of his age. For example, when he came to you, he was 5 years child. So you have to keep it up to 21 years for next 16 years. So you cannot erase that data. You might say there is a contradiction between laws. Yes, but one law demands 1 year, another demands 3 years, another demands 21 years. You would like to be safe for perpetuity. So you can take that plea. There is a legitimate cause for a reason for preserving data. This will come just ahead. And you could say that I want to be safe till perpetuity. Therefore, I will not delete the data. I cannot delete the data. He'll approach the court to get an order to delete the data. If the court says delete it, I'll delete it. But then, now, here's the catch. You are deleting only you still want to be safe. You are deleting only the electronic record, but you only want to be safe. You want to be safe for till you are alive. So you keep a printout of the data, physical copies, and preserve it. You are safe. You're getting my point. This is the DPDP Act. This is a catch. So the DPDP Act is only for data privacy and for retention of data. You have deleted the data. after 1 year, let's say, which is the minimum requirement. But to be safe, you keep a hard copy of the data and delete that electronic data. That is the way out. In a way, it is kind of, although ऐसी requests कम आएंगी, but आती है, but उनके लिए way out है, but this, in a way, it is like increasing a burden, but then you are safe. It does not mean that you do not have any record at all of the patient that he consulted you. Because you never know when he will make a complaint against you. Right? So moving ahead, this is what is the kind of data that the patient in India can ask to be removed. It is only harmful personal data. In some countries, it is all kinds of data. There's a kind of a difference over here. In European Union, as I said, in some other countries in the US, this right of patient to get the data is not absolute. It is a relative right. Even our fundamental rights, which we say is the foundational pillar. Our constitution is the largest constitution in the world and one of the most strongest constitution in the world, because we have something called as fundamental rights. Many other nations have it, but our fundamental rights are very, very detailed. LLB or LLM, दोनों में हम पढ़ते हैं. Why I'm saying this is because certain rights are absolute, certain rights are relative. You cannot say कि भारत तेरे टुकड़े टुकड़े होंगे. And I have a right to freedom of speech, which is my fundamental right under the constitution. Yes, it is a fundamental right, but it's a relative right, not absolute. You can say something, you cannot say something against your country and all. That kind of thing. You cannot say, I have a right to housing. I have to have a right. That right was there earlier, now it has been abolished. I have a fundamental right, therefore I will not live on the footpath. Government has to give me a house. No, that is not a fundamental right. But right to education, you'll say, I have a fundamental right to college education. No, you have a fundamental right only up to 12 years of education for a child. So those kind of things. Fundamental rights are very strong in our constitution. Certain are absolute, certain are relative. So people ask me, what is the time for retention of records? There are so many laws. Can you see this? On the left side, and on the right side, there's a, sorry for the small font, NMC, Dr. Pankaj, we need to have a session for all of us. My predecessor's slides, we could see something very, very small like this and something, clearly visible. NMC has got rules how to make your presentations. Something called as KISS, KISS. Nothing to do with kissing. Yes. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS means keep it simple, stupid. While making your presentations, don't make them complex. Keep it very simple, my dear friend. Yes. If you do not know these rules, you cannot be counted as a faculty in a medical college. Even if you are qualified and experienced for it. It is mandatory by law. It is called, basic course in medical education, BCME. And now, of course, they have ACME. I've done that, advanced course in medical education. So I'll keep it short, my dear friends. So duties of a data principal, that is the patient. Patient may not impersonate any person or suppress material information when providing data, or not register false or frivolous grievances, because he'll have to pay a penalty of up to 10,000 if it is adjudged by a court. So more important things, what are the penalties under this act? Failure to take, now this might sound huge amount, failure to take security safeguards, penalty could be up to 250 crores. Failure to notify board or a patient of breach of penalty could be up to 200 crores. Breach of child data obligations up to 200 crores. Then a breach of any other provision up to 50 crores. Now it does not mean it is up to, and not for individual doctors. Although it does not say it's not for individual doctors, it is assumed. It is only for corporates, on a very huge level. For example, if Amazon is doing it, Google is doing it, or maybe hospital A is doing, hospital M or F is doing it, maybe it could go to that level. But अभी ये नया act है, अभी ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं है. But that potential is there. We could be maybe found for a few lakh rupees. But it is very stringent. Yes, we have to remember that. So penalties are determined based on nature, gravity, duration of breach, gain or loss avoided, remedial action taken, and proportionality. And the fines are punishments could go up to, for punishment as well, for jail term, as well as compensation under the Consumer Protection Act. Now, last, this question is there before you, although this under law. A purchases, I put it in the group a couple of days ago. A purchases medicine at a pharmacy B. He voluntarily provides B, the pharmacy, her personal data and requests B to acknowledge receipt of this payment made for the purchase by sending a message to her mobile phone. Every pharmacy asks for your to send a OTP just to confirm the number. B may process the personal data of A for the purpose of sending the receipt. As per law, is it a legitimate use of her data? Although A did not provide a written consent, as I told you is required to B, neither was a notice given to her by B for the same. I told you that a notice and a consent is mandatory by law under the DPDP Act for all data that you are generating. Even if you are using mobile phone, it is mandatory. अब chemist पे दवाई लेने जा रहा है, तो वो नहीं दे रहा है ना consent or notice. So the law has answered this. That's see the yeah, but over here the consent is written. It has to be signed. So the for इसके लिए अलग से law इसमें ही दिया हुआ है. What does this consent over here mean? So this is allowed for. See why I'm talking about DPDP Act here, although it applies to the entire country, because in the DPDP Act there are more than 4 or 5 examples given specifically for doctors and hospitals. That makes it very serious. The examples are there for other manufacturers of goods also, but there are only 1 or 2 examples. Most of the examples, because when the law gives an example, that means it is part and parcel of the statute itself, which is made by the parliament. So 100%, sir. There is no doubt about it. The advocates do not. Yes, bias mindset. No, I'm not an advocate. I will never become an advocate. I'm a lawyer. Advocate is a lawyer who is registered with the Bar Council. Medicine, my opinion, is the biggest profession. I mean, nothing noble than this. So it is a legitimate use of A's data as per Section 7A of the DPDP Act. You can, without a consent, you can use it. And, so under Section 7, it says a doctor as a data fiduciary can process a patient's digital personal data without explicit consent for the following certain legitimate uses. वो legitimate uses law में दिए गए हैं under Section 7. There are 6 and 7 uses. It is one of those. So key takeaways: build a consent plus notice framework for your clinic and a hospital if you're using the data on your phone or your laptop from today. Mandatory by law. Implement basic security safeguards. If you're using third-party applications, they have. If you are using only a mobile phone, I'm sorry, it is not very well secure. Appoint a grievance officer in a hospital and document everything. Whatever you think, they ask me what is the most important, advice. Whatever you think, you preserve it on a piece of paper for perpetuity. Because whatever you're thinking is a, well-reasoned and judged clinical scenario or clinical decision. You document it on paper, you communicate it to the patient, and you keep a record of this for perpetuity. You are safe. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much.
So we talk about, but it's important to talk.
Thank you.
And it is scary also. Maybe the practice will become difficult in future, and we might need to have a lawyer or advocate for us for every day-to-day activity.
These are simple things. It's just a matter of practice.
We don't know the rules. We can't.
Now you know. Now we know. Now we know. Now we know. These are the rules. Very basic.
GP, so they are better off that they are not giving any paper to the patient. They are just,
So their liability is 100% even if they're not issuing any piece of paper to the patient that they've consulted the patient. If the patient says, कि डॉक्टर साहब ने ये लिख के छोटी पर्ची पे हमें दे दिया था, तो liability फिर भी 100% है even if the doctor says I did this not right. So you're right. It is a matter of now proving that the patient ever visited you and your defense that the patient never came to you. Yes, in that matter, if patient is unable to prove that he ever visited you, you are safe. But if you are saying that patient visited, then you have to explain. That means what patient is saying is correct. कि ये सब दवाई दी थी जिसकी वजह से मैं डिटरेट हुआ या डेथ हो गई. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. Thank you so much. And I know. So इसको minimize कर देना please. So I think we must understand that the guidelines for dyslipidemia are becoming more stringent, and we are actually looking at lower LDL goals now. And if you have an established atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, the LDL goal is less than 55. The Lipid Association of India has actually now established categories of extreme risk also, and they have subdivided into A and B, wherein the LDL goal should be less than 40 and even to less than 30 in certain scenarios. And now beyond statins, we have many drugs, including bempedoic acid, ezetimibe, and also injectable therapies like PCSK9 inhibitors, commonly by the name of Repatha, and inclisiran, which has also come up. And I think injectable lipid-lowering therapies are going to be the norm in the future because they provide very sustainable LDL reduction. The other important impactful change that has happened is to screen for dyslipidemia relatively early, maybe even as early as 2 years, especially there is a strong family history of premature coronary artery disease. Now, let me give you an example. About a year back, a patient came to me from UK who had an MI while exercising on the treadmill, 48 years of age, no risk factors. And he was rushed to the hospital, underwent angioplasty, had LV dysfunction 35%. He was saved. And he came to me for opinion because he was known to me through some family member. Now, the only history which I get after asking him many times is the family history of premature CAD in father at the age of 50. So his father had first MI at the age of 50, and then he died at the age of 65. So had this patient known that this is a risk factor, he would have been screened early by a CT angio or a coronary calcium or a dyslipidemia. So we must screen them early. That is very important. And this is the reason sometimes you get a patient like a 58-year-old lady with a calcium score of around 200 in the LAD, not on any medical therapy. LDL is 116. On the right side, you can see calcification in all 3 arteries. Patient is on atorvastatin. Now the guidelines say achieve LDL of less than 70 in the first patient. So you will have to start on some statin therapy. And on the right side, if you have a significant coronary artery disease on all 3 vessels, high calcium score, maybe you have to use a high dose of statin along with ezetimibe and reduce the goal to LDL less than 55, maybe PCSK9 inhibitors also. So that is something. So I'll skip all these in the interest of time, and there are very many new things that have happened. But one thing is for sure, statins alone may not achieve the target LDL for most of your patients. And I think patients will come to you with a report which says the LDL is normal, but that doesn't mean it is the target LDL for that patient. So every patient should have a different target LDL depending upon his risk, low risk, high risk, very high risk, or extreme risk. So that is the category which we must know. And this is the slide which beautifully shows this. I think all of you would have seen this slide in many conferences, so I will not go into the details. But established cardiovascular disease, somebody who's had a stent, somebody who has a high calcium score, somebody who's had an MI, the LDL must be less than 55. So that is the bottom line. And LDL is the therapeutic target and therapeutic goal. In fact, now people are believing LDL is the cause for atherosclerosis. So even going low or even negligible LDL may be okay. But again, we need to be sure about that before becoming so very stringent about LDL. Now, another important point is lipid-lowering therapy in ACS. When an MI patient comes, should start early. Combination therapy is the norm. Maybe use ezetimibe at the time of admission only. So we have realized that we wait for some more time and then we think the LDL goal will be achieved after a month or so. So that is not the case. Be aggressive, be early, and that should be the norm in most ACS patients. Dietary supplements in lowering lipids. This is the European Society of Cardiology guidelines. Very, very I would say ethical, prominent guidelines, which we also follow. They strongly recommend against that. It's a class 3B recommendation. So no role of dietary supplementation. Even a low dose of statin like 5 to 10 milligram of rosuvastatin can do much more benefit and LDL lowering than dietary supplements. So that is another point we must take into consideration. Now, this is one case who presented to my OPD with just uneasiness, walking to my OPD, a lady
And she had this familial hypercholesterolemia. She had multiple blockages. So we did not know at the time of diagnosis, but we stented her because she immediately became very sick. While talking to me, she collapsed, and we took her to the lab and did her angioplasty. But what I'm trying to show you here is multiple plaques in the coronary arteries. And when I asked her, she had a significant family history of premature CAD in both her parents. And mind you, even such a major thing happening in the family, still the patients don't come out with this. So it is our responsibility to ask them about this, especially in premature CAD. Eyelid xanthelasma. So we actually looked at the LDL, that was 265. And the non-HDL was 284. So very, very high LDL. And she fulfilled the Dutch clinical criteria for familial hypercholesterolemia. We did her genetic studies, which was negative for 3 genes. But the point which I'm trying to make here is you may have a negative genetic study, but still the patient can have FH because there are certain genes which we still don't know. We started her on rosuvastatin and ezetimibe. Her LDL was 142, and now you know her LDL should be less than 55. So we pushed her for injectable therapy. She took Repatha for some time, and see the LDL was 14. But again, after some time, because of financial issues, she left it, and it actually they bound back. So what I'm trying to say is that it's important that we actually must understand that these patients would require injections. In fact, yesterday I had a patient whose LDL on 1 dose of inclisiran has come down to 20. And she is familial hypercholesterolemia. I've been seeing her for 10 years now, since I think maybe 12 years. She has mild coronary artery disease, but her LDL is 280, 290. Genes are also positive. She has side effects with Repatha. And the drug which she responded to was inclisiran. I tried ezetimibe, bempedoic acid, everything, but she responded to inclisiran. 1 dose, and the LDL is 20. There's another patient of mine. I did her angioplasty, multivessel angioplasty. 1 dose of inclisiran, the LDL is 4. The second dose, I cannot advise her the second dose. So what I'm trying to say is that these may be super responders, but maybe our patients respond well, and maybe they are patients of different category also. But yes, I think this is very, very important. And this is another patient who had a multivessel disease. We stented her. And again, her LDL was 186. And then we gave her statins, bempedoic acid, ezetimibe. She also developed some myalgias. We tried to reduce the dose of statin, but still the LDL was 130. We advised a PCSK9 inhibitor. Again, patient was unwilling. And then she had a recurrence of ACS. Her circumflex also got occluded. We stented that. And after that, we started her this time on inclisiran. The insurance also allowed her LDL reduced to 55 after 1 month. So these are potent drugs, and guideline recommendations are very, very clear and strict. So you have the extreme risk category in which the LDL should be less than 50, extreme risk B less than 30, extreme risk C also, which has recurrent events over 2 to 3 months. So again, LDL should be less than 10 to 15 in this scenario. Long-term lowering of LDL at times may have certain adverse effects, but most of the times it is well tolerated. And these are the guidelines for stable ASCVD in the Indian Heart Journal. And so to summarize, patients with established ASCVD, the LDL goal should be less than 55. Statins are usually the first-line medications. Still, they are the first-line medications, but 70 to 80% of statin users do not achieve the proper LDL goal, which is recommended for them. And last few years, we have multiple non-statin drugs for uncontrolled LDL. Ezetimibe, bempedoic acid, PCSK9 inhibitors are proven drugs. Again, inclisiran is another. The concept of combination therapy has assumed prominence, like for antiplatelet therapy, for CAD, for heart failure, you have a combination therapy. For diabetes, you have combination therapy. So I think that is the new norm. And the important thing is strike early and strike hard. Don't wait for your ACS patient to get his LDL controlled after 12 weeks or 16 weeks. Be very, very early, because these drugs have also shown on OCT and IVUS images to stabilize the plaque. So we reduce the LDL as early as possible. So thank you so much.
These are all of them should be on statin. But in India, we get everything premature. What you also hear of self-product. So do you think we can guidance?
Yeah, so that's a very important question, sir. And I think this has been addressed briefly in the European Society of Cardiology guidelines. They say use certain risk enhancers. Use coronary artery calcium for them. Use lipoprotein A for them. Because, and South Eastern Asian ancestry is a risk factor. So maybe we have to use additional things by doing a coronary artery calcium or a lipoprotein A or ApoB, ApoA ratio. And if you find that these are also deranged, maybe you are, I would say you would like to start them on at least statin early. You know, it's a great drug. It's very, very protective. And even if it, I would say, doesn't reduce the stenosis, it makes your plaque very stable. It makes your plaque calcific, and maybe the events are dramatically reduced. I think statins are grossly underutilized. And I think we must take this onus to give it to the right group of patients.
So, just 2 comments. Right. So one is that you say that taking coronary disease, 70% in the country is not under control. Right?
Yeah.
And we see in the clinical practice that you just go high intensity statin, till the cholesterol is on 30 to 40. Right. So what percentage of the increment of this, still would be beneficial, because we may not reach 55 or 70, but how much percentage of LDL would achieve to have at least some amount of protection?
Yeah, so in the interest of time, I had skipped those slides, but this is very, very clearly said here in this slide. 50% is the maximum reduction with the high intensity statin. So this is a slide which shows you have a moderate intensity statin, 30% LDL reduction, high intensity 50%, ezetimibe 20%. When you combine all these therapies, including high intensity statin, ezetimibe, bempedoic acid, and PCSK9, it's about 86% from the baseline. So, we must go home with this message that first and foremost, whenever a patient comes to you, don't assume his LDL to be normal if the lab report says it is normal. You have to assess the risk of the patient. You have to risk stratify your patient into a low risk, moderate risk, high risk, very high risk, or extreme risk. Depending upon this, his LDL goal would be 130, 100, 70, 55, 40, 30. And we have to tell him, we have started to do this in our discharge summaries. Every discharge summary means any patient of ACS which we stent or maybe treat with bypass surgery or medically. At the end of the discharge surgery, the LDL goal is mentioned to be less than 55 in almost all. So it is easy for us also. And then once that goal and the patient knows, you can actually follow that LDL and maybe convince them for better therapies. It works. Please, we have to be convinced about it. It really does work. I mean, LDL and LDL reduction definitely does work. We have other issues also, triglycerides, low HDL, patient may have progression of disease, but this is something which is consistently proven. We must believe it. Bempedoic acid, ezetimibe, you have these drugs, you have injectable therapies. Yes, sir. 1.5 ml has to be given as an injection, baseline, subcutaneous, just like a jab. Very, very safe. Only thing is you can have some injection site reactions over a period of time. Patients are extremely happy, sir, extremely happy. And I am telling you, whatever limited experience I have, there is phenomenal reduction. Around 80,000 to 90,000 per injection. Now companies are coming up saying we'll do a free lipid profile, we'll give them statin free for 3 months. All those things are there. Insurance companies are also now the patient I'm talking about, my second patient, who doesn't have significant coronary artery disease, but her LDL is 270 to 280. She's had a transient ischemic attack, did not have a stroke. Now, she is a government panel patient. I had to work hard, but she got inclisiran. I mean, she had side effects with Repatha also. Some very rare side effects which I don't know. And she just didn't want to take this injection. So I said, let us try another thing. We gave her letter and she got an injection. So absolutely all these drugs should be combined with statins unless and until patients do not tolerate statin therapy or the patient has myalgias with that. But yes, you must combine statin therapy with them as of now. Patient is not tolerant to statins. Yeah. So I mean, the idea is that all these therapies have to be used in combination to achieve the LDL goal. Now, if you achieve the LDL goal of say around 10 or 15 with the inclisiran, I mean, I don't want to give that inclisiran again after 3 months unless I see the lipid profile rising a bit. Although we still do not have clear data about safety, But I am reluctant that if it goes below 15, 20, I don't want to give the second injection unless it's slightly higher. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's a fantastic drug. Although that is fine. That is fine. In fact, now it is said you reduce the LDL, whatever drug you use, you have to reduce the LDL. That is the latest concept.
They go for ED, they all go for it. Purpose is the new weapon, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Usually we use both of them, rosuvastatin and atorvastatin. Myalgias are slightly less with rosuvastatin. It's a lipophilic drug, and otherwise not much of a difference if you are able to achieve the LDL. It's more potent than atorvastatin. Patients tolerate rosuvastatin slightly better, but there would be other category of patients also, sir, who may not tolerate rosuvastatin well, but they tolerate atorvastatin.
I think topic is very interesting, but in the interest of time and the main agenda of today, we can conclude it. And it was an excellent presentation by Sameer.
I request Dr. Pankaj to felicitate Dr. Sameer.